All right, welcome to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm Charlie McGrath, your host, and I'm telling you right now, it is going to be a wacky, wacky night. I'm in a very rare mood, and I was talking to Gary about it. Gary's going to be joining me for the first half hour. Then the second half hour, I'm going to have Doug Owen of blacklistednews.com. He's going to be the guest. He's going to join me for the second half hour and shoot the breeze with me. Coming up for the second hour, we've got a concert for you. Jordan Page. He is a patriot singer-songwriter. He has performed for people such as Ron Paul or at Ron Paul functions and several other scores of other events around the nation. He's going to be our guest for the entire second hour, and he's going to play live for it. Gary has even upgraded his system so that we can get a nice audio feed for Mr. Page coming on in hour number 2. If you're listening, and well, let me explain why we don't have Eric Lovely tonight. Eric has to take care of some family matters, so he could not be with me on this first hour tonight. So I'm going to tell you this right now because I've really been neglecting callers lately. I've been not really taking very many over the last several weeks. Actually, it's probably been 2 weeks since I've taken a caller. So this first hour, if you want to call in and you want to talk about anything, I really don't care what it is. 877-342-6673. I don't care if it's on the economy. I don't care if it's on politics. I don't care whatever you want to talk about. We're kind of just doing an open topic for this first hour. Even with Doug on here, he covers all kinds of information on his website as well as his program. So we're not afraid to mix it up with your questions or comments. So Brett, you're listening. Callers are okay. Gary will let me know, and we'll get you guys on. 52 people in the chat right now. If you want to join them, go to wideawakenews.com, click on the Wide Awake Radio button, and that will put you right into the chat room. We also have a live feed there from Justin TV. If you want to watch me do this live with my Princess Leia headset on, you can watch it there. I was laughing when we came on because I was demanding that the chat room answer me if they like the new intro music. Gary, are you with me?
You know me, I'm a fly on the wall.
You like the new intro music? I'm getting some negative votes here. I got some negative emails about our new intro. What do
Charlie,
you think?
can I be truthful?
Be truthful, Gary.
The new intro music sucks.
What is the deal? Why does it? I think it's very apropos to the program. Listen to the words, man. That's what we used to say when we were kids, trying to explain to our parents the music we were listening to. Listen to the words. Listen to the meaning.
Charlie, you know, in my age group, if it's not classical,
if it's not big
if
band,
it's not opera, if it doesn't swing, if it doesn't have soul,
that's right.
It ain't really music.
How about, I could probably source some good old Lawrence Welk or the big band era, and we could roll with that.
How about some Mario Lanza or some of the Three Tenors, or get some something with some culture.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use some of the music like Jeff uses. It's just a beat. It's just there's no words to it. It's just a beat or a theme kind of I don't know how to describe it. It makes me think of, when I hear his music, it makes me think of conspiracies or UFOs or something like that. Because
I listen to Jeff's music, and some of it makes me think I'm walking into the graveyard, or I'm opening the door to the dungeon.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah. Well, then I won't have so many opinions on it. It's just a tune.
Yeah, people will be just too creeped out to say anything about it.
But here's the deal.
I'll send you some suggestions.
Okay, well, you can send them, but I'm going to tell you what right now. Brett says he likes a new intro, so Brett's on my side. He just texted me. Brett likes our new intro music. So, and here's the deal.
Charlie, I'm wearing socks that are older than Brett.
I don't think you should announce that, A. And B, that does not qualify you because you have old socks. Does not qualify you as a music guru. Now, granted, I did ask you what you thought of it, and you were painfully honest. You said you thought it sucked. But here's the deal. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try it out for 6 months, Gary. We're gonna run it for 6 months, and I think it's gonna grow on you, like your socks.
Kind of like a mold.
Like your socks.
What's happening in the news, Charlie? You got anything
I don't,
interesting
you know,
want to?
I don't even care anymore.
Don't you want a bellyache about something? I mean, come on,
I
man.
do. I want to bellyache about. I want to bellyache about everything.
It is your repertoire. I mean, let's face it. You know, it's your claim to fame. I want a patented Charlie McGrath rant. I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to tell me what in the news today really, really, really pissed off Charlie McGrath.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Here's the deal. I source news stories almost in my sleep, right? When I come home, I'm like you, Gary. I work a full-time job, and I come and do this. But when I go into work, when I get up in the morning, I'm on my computer. I'm sourcing information. I'm looking at stories. I'm seeing, what's going to be the theme of the day, and you can predict what the theme of the day is going to be. Usually by 6 a.m. Mountain Time, 5 a.m. West Coast, and whatever that is, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning East Coast. You know the tenor of the day. I don't need, there's a lot of people who are sitting there watching their charts of trading action going on. I don't need that. You don't need that. We can look within 10 minutes and understand how the day is going to play out because it's completely and totally and utterly rigged from start to finish. So this morning I knew we were, by 8 a.m. my time, I knew we were going to have this big rebound today on Wall Street. It was down 200 points yesterday. It was obviously, it was up 100 plus points today. And I knew the game was going to continue. Ben Bernanke came out, spewed some optimism, and that turned things around. That doesn't tick me off because that is status quo. That is what happens every day. Every day of the week, we are inundated with the same BS, the same garbage, the same routine, the same tactics over and over and over again. So if you want to know what really has me ticked off, what really has me upset, let me be honest with you. It is my fellow American, right, that can buy into this crap and just wallow in it and pretend that it's new, pretend that it's something different, pretend that the answers given today weren't exactly the same as the answers given yesterday. A good friend of mine dropped a news magazine on my desk today. I'm not going to mention the one because it's not worth lining your birdcage with. But on the cover of it, you might know this.
Tell us how you really feel.
It's crap. It's crap. It's all garbage. All mainstream media is patented garbage. There is no news in the so-called news. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, but surely they told you which celebrity got a boob job or a nose job or,
It's even more egregious than this. Because this is a bona fide, I'm doing air quotes for those of you on Justin TV. I'm doing air quotes so you can see this. Bona fide business magazine. They got all the answers. And on the cover of it, housing boom is back. Housing boom is back. So I start reading in this article, and it literally, it makes me want to strangle everybody who buys into this and is going to rush out and act on this. Look, mortgage rates are as low as they've been in the history of forever, right? We're cooking the books in order to try to stimulate something in the housing sector. You can borrow money for nothing. Look, the risk is back on in housing. The bubble is blowing up again in housing. The Countrywide or all these lending agencies, they're peddling their garbage on the radio and on television just as hard as they did in 2004, 5, 6. It is back on, and we are going to be teed up. We're going to be teed up beautifully just so we can be sucker punched once again. This is going on at the exact same time that we have J.P. Morgan on trial against Dexia, a European bank, because they falsified their information back in the first housing boom. And if we think anything is different now, then we deserve exactly what we're going to get. Gary, this is what has really got me just hot and bothered. We deserve what we're going to get. Refuse to see the forest through the trees. We're going to be back with Gary Hendershot and myself and more Wide Awake News Radio in just a minute. Hang tight. All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie McGrath, your host, joined by producer, friend, television producer. I don't know. What do we call you, Gary? What's your title?
Boss of the outdoor toilet.
The outdoor outhouse boss with old socks. Hey, you got a live picture going on Justin TV. Nice. If you want to join us,
I can do that.
Join us, I know you got the skill. You got the fancy headphones, and I got Princess Leia.
Well, I do the petite headphones, so I don't look like I came out of a 1980s Star Wars movie.
Now, here's the deal. I'm gonna give you a piece of advice right now. You never want to use the word petite in describing yourself ever again.
You've been talking to my wife again, haven't you?
Petite Gary Hendershot is joining me in this first half hour, second half hour of the first hour. So I don't know how to describe. The second half of the first hour is going to be Doug Owen of blacklistednews.com. And of course, hour number 2 is going to be a concert by Jordan Page. Hopefully we have some good, Gary, we can have some good audio for that.
Well, I boosted the audio quality. See, the Rents only broadcast, I think, at 56 kilobits. Their sampling rate's pretty slim. So for the Justin TV feed, for this fellow who's going to play some tunes for us, I goosed it up to 128 kilobits with a 44 KB feed or sample. So, about almost CD quality, CD quality.
Wake me up when you're done talking.
Wake me up when I'm finished talking about all those nasty numbers.
Something kilobyte, old socks, petite, I don't know.
Soliloquy.
Soliloquy. We have 66 people in the chat, guys. If you want to call in, 877-342-6673. Whatever you want to talk about is on the table. But I'll warn you right now, if you call in, I'm in a goofy mood. Actually, I'm in the mood to argue. I want somebody to call in and argue with me about the current state of affairs, or maybe these arguments that occasionally I get messages on people saying, you're pessimistic, pessimism porn, blah, 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 everything's getting better.
I can argue almost anything. What do you want to argue about today?
I know you're
I can argue either side of just about any topic.
Well, I'm sure you can, but I'm not looking for devil's advocate. I want somebody who's sold out and believing that alternative media or the people who are in the freedom movement are off center. We're not right. We're going to fix our problems in this country by using our military to kill people around the world and by printing money that we don't have and keeping the people who decimated our economy in place. If you truly believe that, if that strikes you as a true ism, call in. Let's hash it out. 877-342-6673. And that the window's only open. Obviously, we're not going to take callers when Jordan's on here. That would be impossible, A, and really rude, B. But the conversation we had, you asked me what torqued me, and it isn't that I'm even upset by the news anymore, Gary. I'm really not. I mean, it's almost self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I mean, we are going to go down a path that is the most efficient way to effect destruction of freedom and destruction of financial future, the most efficient way to do this possible. Whatever is the least resistance, or whatever has to be done in order to mold a populace to this agenda, that's exactly what's going to happen. There's, I was in the Black Ops training room today, and I was talking with a few guys in there, and I just put in there point blank, mark my words, we will have a crisis in the year 2013. I believe it is absolutely 100% unavoidable. And I put in there, I'm so convinced of it, if on December 31st, 2013, if we're still floating along at Dow 14,000 and hope-tomistic by printing money we don't have, and hope-tomistic by governing by crisis, and hope-tomistic by killing people around the world, if we don't see a crisis before then, I'm shutting it all down. No more wideawakenews.com, no more Wide Awake News Radio, no more YouTube channel, nothing. Because I'm apparently dead wrong on this. That's how confident I am. And this isn't from any crystal ball that I have, but it is talking to people who I believe understand where we are and how we got here, and the little blips, including 2008, that led us here. And these people, such as John Rubino of dollarclaps.com, when I talk to these folks who have been in this business, in the financial business in one form or other for decades, and truly are professionals in the industry and understand what is being done and how it is guaranteed to fail, I take their opinions, to the bank, because they're generally right. If you look at their history, they're generally right. You cannot avoid this impending crisis, and I don't know where it's going to start. I don't know if it's going to be Straits of Hormuz, an aircraft carrier going down. I don't know if it's going to be Japan's debt tipping over and bringing down through derivatives nightmare the rest of the financial world. I don't know if it's going to be a March 1st sequester that is going to cause panic and chaos and cause a bond market to collapse and everything come crashing down. But I'm telling you this right now, Gary, 2013, we're not getting through this one with hope-optimistic money printing.
All right, now listen, they're not going to let you off the hook. You invited callers, and you've got a couple. You got two in the queue. You got Nisha from Colorado, and Steve's backed up in the queue from Oregon. So, if you're going to invite callers, it's only polite that we go ahead and entertain their arguments.
Well, we're going to have a tough time because we're in about 2 seconds before we go into our break. But unless we can skip now, let's not do it. Let's get to the break. We'll get Doug Owen on Skype, and then we'll go directly to the callers when we come back. Unless my clock's wrong. How much time before the break? Right. There it is, right there. All right, callers, hang tight. I promise we're going to get to both of you. On the backside of this break, we're going to have Doug Owen of Blacklisted News. He'll help field some of these calls. Please hang tight. We'll be right back with more Wide Awake News Radio in just a few minutes. By tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Guys, we are back on the air.
Hello. We're back on Rents?
Yes.
Hey, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie McGrath. I didn't hear any intro music. I apologize about that.
And, of course, I was slow on the uptake because I was fighting with trying to get Charlie's video. You might as well just turn your video off, Charlie. It doesn't look like it's going to cooperate.
You're going to have to, if you're watching on Justin TV, you're just going to see an avatar for Doug Owen of blacklistednews.com and myself. And we do have two callers, and I put out the call for callers, and we have them. So, Nisha from Colorado, thank you very much for holding. I appreciate you holding through that break.
What's on your mind?
Hello.
Cool. Yeah, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is this Nisha?
Yeah, this is Nisha. How's it going?
Am I saying your name correct, first of all?
Yeah, you are saying my name correct, Charlie.
Okay, good man. Where are you at in Colorado? I've been there many, many times, and I love Colorado.
Oh, I'm in Longmont.
Okay, I know where you're at.
Boulder County, basically.
It's all one big urban area, like from there all the way south.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what to bring up other than this crazy emotional roller coaster that I think everybody can kind of relate to as to what's going on. I mean, the stuff is just beyond maddening right now, and I think what really gets my goat is the fact that you can't even talk to the people in your family or the people you know, and it's just like you try to have a conversation with somebody, and everybody just shuts down.
Yeah, I agree. Nisha, I agree. And maybe, Doug, you want to comment. I put out in the first half hour, I told people they want to call in about anything they want. If they want to argue with me, whatever you want to talk about. And then, Gary asked me, what I was ticked about. And it isn't really the news that I'm ticked about, but it's a reaction of most people to the news that we're getting played the same hand over and over again. But Nisha, I think you're right. I mean, I do feel this in people that I would consider to be not to be awake, have no interest whatsoever in alternative media, have no interest whatsoever out of pulling their head out of the mainstream. And there's a lot of anger and, I don't know about anger. There's a lot of confusion, right? There's a lot of frustration because we have been on this hamster wheel. And especially over the last decade, this hamster wheel is leading nowhere but to the obvious destitution of the country. So I do see that with people who will fight tooth and nail to hang on to a normalcy bias. I see the frustration because you can't look at the landscape that we're facing and you can't look at it even with jaded eyes of the mainstream without realizing that we're in a lot of trouble.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, the thing that kills me, I'm on the road 16 hours a day. I have a delivery service. I see a lot of people. And it's just the sense that I get is whatever,
I don't want to think about it. I don't want to make the effort. I don't want to be responsible for knowing anything. I don't want to be responsible for my space in this world and how I interact with other people. I just want the easy way out. And I'm burned out on it, man. You know, I just had to drop one of my longest routes because I just can't deal with the people at this one particular place, and it's just not worth it anymore to me because I'm just burning myself up, you know?
Nah, brother, I hear you, man. And you know, it's funny because I was talking to Gary and even Skyping with Doug before the program, and I said, you know, I love what I do. I love this. I love expressing my opinion, making commentary videos, but there is certain times where you feel like you're hitting a brick wall. And with somebody like Nisha and somebody like you who's awake, and you're hearing this from customers and you're hearing this from family members, it is very frustrating. And all I can say is hang in there, man, because I don't know what else advice to give. Certainly, I hope you're not firing some customers. What's that?
No. I was just saying the only thing you can really do is hold fast to the mask, but, you know, my knuckles are starting to turn white. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, fortunately, I guess you have an outlet on programs like this or Doug Owen's program where you can call in and vent a little bit and be with like-minded folk.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you know, just a little bit of my thing here is this is the first time I've actually called into a show because I'm just so busy, and, you know, part of it is just, you know, just having the time to do it, and the other part is, you know, where do I even begin? You know?
Well, hang in there, and look, everybody is going to pile on the solution is coming bandwagon, and you know there does, you know, I'm sure everybody, Doug, how about you, where you hear this and you choose not to say anything because you just don't have the energy to step into this argument.
Well, you got to pick your battles. I think that's the takeaway from it. And, you know, I worry more about people in my circle. Of course, I do a radio show, so I put, you know, all of my thoughts and my opinions out there for people to take and do with what they want. But to me, it's more about, especially with family and close friends, it's more about, you know, people that I can rely on, and not so much about convincing them that I'm right or that I necessarily have the truth. I think a lot of people are starting to see the obvious problems. So I find that it's even easier to get people into a conversation. The hard thing is figuring out the person you're talking to, listening to them, taking the time, because sometimes they're irritating, and listening to them, and then kind of curtailing what you want to talk about with that person. Say, okay, well, you know, he's not going to buy that or that or that, but we could talk about this issue because maybe they're a fan of gun control. So you could just, you know, hit those you know, targeted things. But I think that it requires you to listen to them first too, because people like to talk. I like to talk. Yeah. I like when people listen to me, so I try to extend that to other people. And, you know, there's a lot of brain damaged people out there that they've got other things on their mind. I mean, if you're financially bankrupt, you lost your wife, whatever it may be, sometimes, you know, being a prophet and yelling at people just you know, it's not welcome. So you gotta know who you're talking to, I think. And so I do that. But you know, it's hard because you want to be an activist and you want other people to start talking about these conversations. I dip people's toes in gently.
You dip people's toes. You wash their feet like Jesus did.
Yeah, well, you got to anoint people, you know, a little bit.
You're an anointer, Doug Owen, the anointer. Nisha, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Take it easy.
I'm glad you're busy. I'm glad your delivery route is full, and I wish you continued success for as long as it'll last. I want to go to Steve in Oregon before we hit this break. Steve, what's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Charlie. I was
in
the mood to fight too, but I agree with you on everything except your haircut.
Grow
your hair a little bit, man.
No. See, that's where you're wrong. Because Doug Owen and myself, we've adopted the same theory, which is, you know, it's time to sport the Armageddon do, and it's quick, it's easy, ready for battle.
Yeah,
hey,
you know,
post-apocalyptic
world, you don't have time for hair.
On the news now about the Hanford site in Washington State.
Say that again, please, real quick.
Yeah, the Hanford nuclear site in Washington.
Yes.
It's been on the news quite. Rents had a few. Okay, well, I'm just going to go anyway. There's a Hanford site in Washington State, and it's
Yes,
leaking radioactivity like crazy. You know, all the nuclear stuff from back in the 1940s. You know this stuff, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, we had Karen Tostado had the Rad Chick on Friday and talked about this. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to call in that day, and I just couldn't. But, hey, the reason I said is I work there as a life safety engineer, and I'm going to give you a brief thing. I'll try to do this in 30 seconds. I drive up my first day. They have like a TSA security thing, but I look around, I could get in the place anywhere I want in 100 different directions. I'm going, you know, whatever. So then I go in, and then they have this huge office thing, man. No partitions or anything, just hundreds and hundreds of desks. And then I go in, I have to use the restroom. So you go in the restroom, and there's like 25 sinks, and above every single sink said, "Do not drink the water." And I'm like going, dear Lord, where did I get myself into? And so then they needed the specs. They needed a life safety engineer for the specs, but I didn't do nothing all day, 10 hours a day, 4 days a week, no work. I was going nuts because I like to be, you know, proactive, you know.
So what you're saying is you're filling a quota, you're filling a slot, so they say they have that position covered. Steve, thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it. We have to take a break now. The music's playing in my ear. We'll get you back. You know, call back in because we're going to be talking about this topic, I know, later in the week as well. All right, we're going to be back with Doug Owen of Blacklisted News Radio and more Wide Awake News Radio in just a minute. Hang tight. Okay, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Thank you very much, Nisha and Steve, for the calls. I appreciate it. This is the final segment of this first hour. Reminder, coming up in the second hour, we have the music stylings of Jordan Page for the entire second hour of the program. He's going to be playing live music with us and telling us a little bit about his story. So hang out for that. Doug Owen of blacklistednews.com and Blacklisted News Radio. He is joining us now for this final segment of the first hour. And I told him during the break, I said, let's talk a little headline news for the final 15 minutes or so here. Sequester, Doug. I mean, it's all over the news. It's the latest crisis coming out of D.C. I personally think that this one is going to, you know, we're going to go past March 1st. There's not going to be a deal. I think it gives political cover for both sides to unleash havoc and, you know, try to point the finger from one side to the other. It was their fault. No, it's their fault. But, you know,
right.
It's what I said to you in the break and what I said in the first segment tonight, that I don't see any way we get through 2013. Matter of fact, I really don't see a way we get through the summer without some major shock to the financial world. Now, I know I said crisis during the break, but crisis in the financial world. And a lot of people think that's just nuts right now because of you know, some of the data that's come out today. Consumer confidence jumps in February to the highest level in months. And, you know, the stories of housing recovery, the stories of jobs are being created again in the auto industry. I think this is exactly like what we heard going in to the summer of 2008, and we're going to have an equal or worse shock this year.
Well, I think it's very possible when you look at the math that you know, many point to. Like I was talking about Max Kaiser. He believes it was going to be April. I know that was one of his benchmarks. So next month would be bond apocalypse and many of these things coming to fruition. You know, just looking at the amount of debt. But when it comes to the sequestering, first off, the sequestering of government, it's a joke. Okay, these are the budget cuts that Barack Obama hailed. These are his cuts, and now he's putting it back on the Republicans. They're having some, you know, sideshow. And at the end of the day, they don't really have to get a plan together because they'll just start taking the federal pension from the employees of the government and using that to pay the bills. I think that it should. The big takeaway and the one thing we should all learn from this is that the government uses terrorism against its own people for budgets. I don't know if you saw any of those budget meetings, but they're talking about sequestering the Defense Department, and they're telling us that we're going to die. They can't protect us. We can't continue to have economic stability in the energy markets, on and on and on and on and on. And so I look at this, and you know, they act like this would be the end of the world. Okay, just not actually reducing the debt or actually balancing the budget, but just cutting a few $billion out of their annual budgets is going to shock the world. It's going to be calamity. I mean, this is terrorist rhetoric.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And this is the governed by crisis tactics that we've seen for, namely since 2008, everything. Well, namely since 9/11. And if we're going to go to broader scope of your actual individual freedom, it has been taken from you under crisis. But on the financial realm, namely since 2008. However, and this is my I guess my rebuttal to that would be that when this crisis comes, it is going to usher in bondpocalypse or derivative apocalypse. I don't know how you combine those two words together. Derivative Geddon. I don't know what. But when this crisis is unleashed, it will have one result. It'll be the people of the world who have been loaded to the hilt, over the hilt, with sovereign debt. That failure will be dumped onto the people of the world, and massive crisis, massive change will have to happen. Massive solutions to huge, massive problems will have to be introduced and implemented in the form of, be it one world financial governance, one world currency, or one world trading unit, whatever the case may be. But it doesn't mean that the crisis that initiates this has to be a bona fide crisis. It could be an engineered false flag financial terrorist act. And I believe that act is very likely to happen this year. Maybe Max Kaiser's right. April bondpocalypse. Maybe John Rubino, who was on the other night talking about the Japanese debt and the derivatives that are emanating from that, could tip over this year. Who knows? But when this crisis happens, I have no illusions whatsoever that it's going to be a crisis that we knew was coming, and we're going to let it happen in order that we can affect change. They're not going to let a Uber crisis go to waste to affect this kind of change that a lot of these people have been calling for from the get-go.
Right. Well, with any crisis, you want to manage it and you want to create the solution, problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectic. You want to have a preconceived, pre-planned solution to give. You want
to have a Patriot Act waiting in the wings.
You have to have that new system. So central banks across the world are buying up gold, repatriating gold. So they're going to be moving towards a gold-backed central currency. I was talking with Bill Still tonight, and he noted the fact, and I noted it as well, I'm sure you do, and most of your listeners are aware that central banks are buying gold. So they're going to be using that to rehypothecate these debts, and I think that they're going to do their best to continue to paper it over. But I'll give you an example. I knew a guy that worked at Dell, retired, had over, I think, $3 million. He was a millionaire, and he had a lot of high-risk stocks, and his stocks had doubled 2 or 3 times. And in 2008, he got wiped out, and he was working as a maintenance man at a hospital. And this guy, he had a big, RV, one that you drive in, $100,000 rig, beautiful place out on 5 acres. I mean, the American freaking dream. And, he's working for $15 an hour now. And I mean, he's living, and he didn't lose everything. But this is the guy that was retired. He was spending tons of money in the economy, just discretionary income, spending his savings. And so he is among millions of other people that are affected, and they're not putting more money into the economy. If anything, they're being more shrewd. People are buying less. Some of those things are kind of good. I think that they're going to create less of a Chinese influence, and the less we buy of certain products, or the higher the price for some of these imports, the less people will value, changing their phone every month just to be cool. I think that's there might be some good things that come out of it. The question's how bad. And you look historically at governments that have completely crashed. Look at Russia. Look at East Germany, or the Weimar Republic, or Haiti, or where there's just absolute destitution. It's just horrific, like Liberia. That's the worst case scenario. So the question is, from Liberia to, normalcy, where is that going to be, and how bad is it going to be, and who's going to be affected? At least the people listening to your show have the choice. You don't have to put all of your savings into Federal Reserve notes. You can diversify. You have more information at hand, and so you have better chances of being able, if you have wealth, to keep it, and if you don't, to be able to create skills and communities that you'll need in harder times. And so, there's a lot of things that could happen that are great. Looking at curtailing this consumer society and social depravity, but at the same time, a lot of people, good people, are going to be hurt because of their ignorance. So
I agree with that we could, and that is the hope, right? That is the hope that we do have a shake in the system that isn't completely devastating to the average person in this country. Although, the argument certainly could be made that devastation's already occurred. You're bringing up guys like the former Dell executive, but also I've talked to scores and scores of people that are among the millions that have lost their jobs or lost their homes, or in some cases went to protest and lost their freedom over the last several years. So the question is, we do hope that we have a shakeup that leads to a more constitutional republic, the establishment, the reestablishment of freedom for the people of this country, and the routing of corruption between financial special interests in Washington, D.C. So that is the hope. However,
I'm not that optimistic, but
well, yeah, and people might hear you saying you had your interview with you said he was a narrator of Secrets of Oz, correct?
Yeah, The Secret of Oz, Money Masters, Bill Still.
Yeah. Bill Still, yeah, I forgot his name there for a second, but you said it, so I remember it now. Bill Still, and one thing that a lot of people might grabbed onto that you said is the central banks are buying gold, and I think Bill would be the first one to tell you that isn't we got to, even that this community loves gold, loves silver, loves tangible time-tested currency, but that isn't a good thing. The central banks controlling, Bill, I'm sure we told you this on your interview today, central banks controlling the value of gold is no different. It's absolutely no different than the fiat system that we have now.
Well, yeah. I mean, how much gold do you have? How many metric tons do you have in your vault?
Just
how many
3.
bullion? Well, that's the thing. I mean, you're not a Nat Rothschild. You're not a
no
one of those people that would benefit from this.
I don't have an Olympic pool worth. I only got a hot tub worth.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not one of the people that's heavily vested in precious metals, so it's not advantageous to me financially for bond apocalypse or the boys in London to decide tomorrow that gold it's really valued at $10,000 per ounce.
Right.
But that's completely manipulated in the amount of gold that people have in their own possession. The initial trade, if you do have to go and move into another currency, is pretty good. I mean, you can transfer it. I think it was Warren Buffett's buddy said that gold is for Jews trying to escape places like Germany to put into their pockets and sew into their pants. It's a pretty profound statement, but I think that that's it, man. I'm out of here. I'll just have to leave it there.
I agree. And my main point there would have been that I'm not against a currency that is backed by gold and silver. I am against a central bank that issues that has dominance over that currency. If we the people determine the value of it, that's one thing. But to have central bankers doing it, well, that's exactly what we have now. Even if it is backed by precious metals, if they control the currency, they control the precious metals, then we're in the exact same boat.
They need our perception. That's what they need us to believe in it. That's what gives it value.
That's exactly right. Doug Owen, blacklistednews.com, Blacklisted News Radio. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit tonight.
Great time, Charlie, man. Take care.
All right, buddy. Guys, stay tuned. We're going to have Gordon Page coming on in just a minute. Hang tight. We'll be right back.